Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. If you are joining us right now, welcome to this live channel. My name is Dutawambura. Sorry for taking 5 minutes before we could get started, but we needed to do a few things here and there. So welcome. Please let me know, where are you listening from? Leave a question or something saying where you are listening from on the comment section. It's been a minute since we did a live video, but I know that you guys have been asking quite a number of questions on Twitter, on Facebook group BTC, basically about the application, because applications have begun for Erasmus, and this is one of the reasons as to why I decided to do this live video, and just to be able to answer some of the questions that you guys have been asking. Basically, I know there's a lot that we can talk about statements of purpose, about writing your CV, general application, and there's so much that people ask. And for those reasons, that's why we do these videos. And if you're listening to this much later, obviously, please interact with us on the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to see your comment and maybe answer as much as I can. And if you're listening to this right now, feel free to ask each and every one of the questions. If you have a miscellaneous question that is not related to statements of purpose, we will definitely be answering it towards the very end of this live video. So please let someone know that this video is happening right now, and so that we can be able to get as many questions as possible within this short period of time. Usually we tend to have these videos for just an hour or so, but I'm happy to give you more information just in case it spills over, but let's not overspill. Right. So once again, my name is Nduto Wambura. I am the Kenya country representative still, and the communications director ad interim for Erasmus. And I am also a beneficiary of Erasmus Mundus program. Previously, quite a long time ago now, but I love to speak about Erasmus because I know it can change your life. And I am joined in today by one amazing guest. Honestly, he's been on this channel before. You've heard from him on Twitter. You've heard from him on perhaps on Facebook. You might not know it's him who is commenting on your comment on the Erasmus Mundus Nigeria chapter page, perhaps. And his name on Twitter is at Jamaticulous. You must have definitely seen that somewhere. And he is a wealth of information. He has benefited from Erasmus himself and is currently a PhD researcher in Canada. So he has gone through the program and he knows quite a lot of things that can be of help to you when you're doing your application. So today we are going to be inviting him once again to be our guest to let us know more about statements of purpose, or motivation statements, are as some people like to call them. Either way, you definitely would need this information whether you are applying for Erasmus or even any other program really. So let me welcome him without further ado, because I mean I've spoken so much about it. His name is Olajide Akintayo, if you know that's his government name. So if you ever want to know his full name, it's Olajide. It's a mouthful. And I know it's quite early for him. So I am grateful that you're here. Olajide, how are you?
Yeah, very fine, Nduta. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are. You're very much
Okay,
audible. Yes. And
perfect.
good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's quite early for me here in the CET region. Yeah, quite
Yeah,
good morning and little bit chilly outside.
right.
It's great to be back on your channel again, and I mean, I just want to thank you for your, always having this platform for us to discuss, and also for the invitation. I hope that those who have joined this live stream will be able to learn within the next 1 hour. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And maybe people have forgotten who you are. Perhaps maybe you can tell us, what are you currently doing? Where are you currently located? And what is your history with Erasmus?
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Well, I'm currently in Canada where I'm doing my PhD program. I was previously in Europe. I left Europe around 2 years ago,
Right,
where I completed my Erasmus master's program in advanced materials engineering. So I studied in France and Germany, and also took the time to explore a lot of countries in the Schengen region as well.
right.
Yeah, my history with Erasmus dates back 4 or 5 years. I've been
Yeah,
studying. I've lived the Erasmus life.
yeah,
I've been involved in promotions,
right.
sensitization, and that has helped, hundreds and hundreds of students across Nigeria. And, some of the things I've done has also impacted people across the world, people I've not even met, people I've not spoken to. I
Yeah.
just hear the news and get the feedback. So I'm always glad to do this. And that's why I share opportunities
Yeah.
whenever I have the chance to speak, and also personally on my social media. And so yeah, that's what I do now, and that's my history with Erasmus.
Absolutely amazing. And I mean, it's been 5 years as well for me with Erasmus. So I attest to the same fact. It's always good to give back. And thank you so much for taking the time. So without further ado, we want to get right into the gist of this conversation. It's ABC of writing a statement of purpose. So perhaps you can begin by your experience of writing a statement of purpose, and then perhaps I know you have a presentation that you want to go through, so I'm going to share that as well, so we can continue on. So maybe you can tell us. So how was it for you, first of all, writing your first statement of purpose for a scholarship?
Well, yeah, if I could remember very well, I would say my experience was a bit rough in the sense that I had to start from the basics, from the rudiment. I had to get knowledge and do some research in understanding how statements of purpose have been put together. The right statements of purpose. And my first draft was really, really was not the best, right?
Yeah,
Anytime I go back and look at it, I'm like, okay, uh, this is not even the ones I wrote to win scholarships. I felt I could have done better, but like I always say, we learn or learn and relearn every day. So
right,
first of all, my experience writing, it took time, I must admit, and that's why I always encourage people that you invest time in writing SOP. So
right.
it went through a lot of iterations, went through a lot of refining, before I could have something solid to submit. So I always tell people, I say it's the most difficult aspect of the application, but if you invest time into it, if you plan well ahead
Yeah.
of it, if you brainstorm, I think you can come out with a good piece at the end of the day.
Right. And do you think there's any ideal amount of time for which you can write a statement of purpose and be happy with it, or it's something that you have to keep back and forth?
I would say back and forth, and I will not recommend anyone to write your SOP. Let's say 2 months to the 2 weeks to the deadline. That's, I
Yeah.
would say, things not to avoid. You
Yeah.
can spend a year, 6 months brainstorming,
Yes.
right? But 2 weeks, 3 weeks to the deadline,
Right.
for a serious applicant who is looking to win is not ideal.
Yeah.
Because don't forget that if you spend enough time, months ahead writing it, you could be in the bathroom, in the shower one day, or you could be in the loo one day, and an idea pops into your head, and then you go and
Yeah.
write it. So you could get inspiration from anywhere, maybe from discussion or stuff like that. So I always say give it enough time. Right.
Right. So light bulb moments come in at whatever moments in time. So guys, if you're listening to this, of course, please let us know if you have any questions as we go on through the presentation from Olajide. And we would definitely, this video is going to remain on YouTube. So in case you would like to watch it much later, you can definitely watch it and, refer to it as you write your statement of purpose. So let's get started, Jide. Over to you. So let me know if you would like. Okay, we already shared the presentation, so maybe you can just navigate through. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would try to go really fast, but please, I hope I can see the comments on my end. Let me see.
Yes,
Okay, yeah, okay,
you
I
should
can see
be
the
able to.
comments. So if you have any questions as I make my presentation, you can just
Yeah,
viewers, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. Yeah. So
sure.
quickly, ABC, like this session has been themed, the ABC of writing a statement of purpose.
Right,
And so my outline today, I'll be talking about okay things to do before writing, your audience and tone, what are the content and the things you should not do.
right.
So I will start with before writing. I will always say, especially the Erasmus or any scholarship you want to write about, you want to go into, there will always be that in most cases there will be a prompt, and
Right,
in some cases there might not be an SOP prompt. So an SOP prompt is just like what are the questions you need to answer, what are the specific guidelines. So
right.
if a program gives you a point SOP prompt, I will always say please and please follow that prompt to the letter. Answer the
Yeah,
questions. But if you are not given, then there are always generic structures of SOPs, and that's what we will discuss later on. So for
right.
example, this is the SOP prompt from the GLODEP program. I know some of you will be applying to the GLODEP program. That's a global development policy or so. So you could see this SOP prompt. So they told you to focus on your academic interest, and what you hope to achieve. So that's the questions, and they've given you some specific instructions. They said, you don't need to talk about the GLODEP program. You don't need to tell us how interesting, how nice, and all of that is about GLODEP. We know about that, right? So
Right,
we designed this program, so we know it's excellent. It's an excellent program. So SOP prompt is always very important. So it is what we give you a guideline on how you are going to approach your statement of purpose.
right.
And so that these are more SOP prompts. For example, this is from Sutro 4, this is from EMABG. So you can see that there are specific questions that you need to answer. All right. So it's different from one program to the other. So
Right,
this tells you that you don't want to treat your SOP writing in a particular way. So it must be tailored, based on the program
yeah,
you are applying to.
right,
And so, what do you do before writing? So, if you have the brainstorming process, I always tell you, I say, you have different things: your test scores, your transcript, your ranking in class. There are data, number driven. There is a number, right? So that tells you your rank. But it is the SOP that will differentiate you from the crowd. When you have a program, 800 to 1,000 applicants in some Erasmus programs or any program you can ever think of, because what we are saying here is applicable to any a master's program you will be applying to. Specificity, master's program, okay?
yeah,
We're talking about PhD program, it may be a little bit different. So but for master's program specifically, your SOP is what we set you apart. Okay, especially
right,
if you have you and two candidates with similar grade ranking, right? And then test scores. So your SOP, your story, and so that's why you need to brainstorm before you start writing. You need to
right,
list. So I always tell people, first of all, before you write, have your CV. First, write your CV.
yeah,
Detail your CV with your accomplishments, your experiences, your career goal. If there's your personal history, you have a story, or there are some things that happens, some personal circumstances, write them out. Then
right,
have that list. Then, based on the program, if you're applying to a master's program, then you say, "Oh, for my CV, this is what I'm going to take from this list, and I'm going to apply to this, use it for this program." It might
right,
be different from what you're going to use in the other programs. It's very important that you do some brainstorming. And that's why we say do this well ahead of time. You don't want to do it too
right.
because in the brainstorming, you have to take time to think and all of that.
Yeah,
So, and that leads me to the audience and the tone, right? So I always say, you need to think about your audience. Who is going to be reading it? Is there in the grad school, for example, is there a board of admissions, or is it at the department level?
right,
Will you have faculty reviewers with student review, for example?
right,
Right? So things like this, you can even get information about things like this on the internet. In some cases, some programs are very explicit. They will tell you the composition of their review board, who will be looking at it. And so when you have the idea, it will help you to tailor your SOP. For example, you're applying to some programs, and then the review board, some of the programs, maybe sponsorship will be coming from industrial partner, and there'll be
Right.
an industrial partner on the board of review. So you want to tailor your SOP such that it will speak as well to some things that will interest the industrial reviewer.
Right.
So if you want to speak about the industry, they want to see they don't want, because industry people, it's not all about academics for them. What can this project also do for us as people in the industry? So if you have that knowledge, you'll be able to at least bring some little element of the industry as well into your SOP. So it's very important. And I always say you need to do your research, DYR,
Yeah.
so your SOP has to be tailored, and things like that. So I always say, oh, when you're writing your SOP, the audience they are very used to expressions like, oh,
Yeah.
emphasis on the childhood. They always used to that. They know that they've seen that over years. In fact, I myself, if I see it, I get
Yeah.
bored.
Yeah.
So always understand the audience. Your audience know these things and you want to avoid them.
All right, and I mean, like I have also been a victim of the same writing ever since my childhood, and this is something that is quite generic. So, like for instance, what other statement could be in place of such a statement? Because this always is the beginner, the first line of your statement of purpose. I've seen enough. I've always loved. I have issues at home. Oh, I don't know what. So, what would be like an example of replacing statement towards yeah.
Well, we are going to get to that section as I move along in
Okay.
my
Okay.
presentation.
So
But
I'm just
there are some of us. Some of us are very gifted. Some of us are poetic. Some of us are story writers. So you can
yeah.
say, oh, you can relate something to your, let's say, to story in your village. You can come in a different perspective. Oh, in a
Right.
cool, on a typical day in the city of this, what we have is pollution, and you can come in that direction so that it will not take you. You will not have to write. Oh, I've always loved is it. It will be a storyline that will
Okay.
captivate them and say something about your background, maybe your
Yeah.
city. There is a
Yeah.
problem statement. You relate it to your
Right.
city, and then you bring the idea of how you come into contact with that situation, and then you relate that to the field and things like that. So there are different ways to come up, but not these. I've always loved ever since childhood. No, you can write this ever since childhood in a different way, eh,
Right.
in a form of story, and they will understand that okay, you are
Okay.
coming from a place, you are coming from a particular time, and
Yes.
then you are speaking to a particular problem.
Exactly. Okay. So I jumped ship a little. So let's continue.
Yeah. So your writing tone also is very, very important. I always say, please, no contractions. I can't, no slang. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Woulda, shoulda. Please
Yeah.
avoid that. Your writing tone. Avoid wordiness as well. So you could see these two examples. You could write this wordy, statement in a different way, and you still arrive at the same answer. Don't forget you are constrained with space and word count and all of that. So your writing tone is important. Also, I always say active voice. Always write in active voice. You don't
Right.
want to write generally and okay, who are you speaking to? What
Exactly.
exactly are you speaking to?
Yeah.
You are just making a blank or vague statement. Why is it important in this SOP? So you
Right.
want to write in an active voice to be able to know that okay, this is what I'm trying to pass across.
Right.
This is the issue I'm speaking to. This is the person I'm speaking about. These are the group of people I'm speaking to,
Yes.
and this is what my SOP is trying to address. Okay, so
Okay.
that is very, very important.
And I think it's how we speak as Africans as well, because we
Yeah,
use words,
exactly.
and yeah, so we have to be very brief, especially for Erasmus. Usually, you have
Yeah,
to be very brief. Yeah. Okay.
and so we move to the content. So what should you have in your SOP? So I always say the first part is always your introduction, and is always the toughest.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
The
Yeah.
introductory paragraph is always the challenging one.
Yeah.
So I always say, okay, you could relate it to an event or an history that describes how you come into a field. And in fact, in all cases, it must not be an history.
Yeah.
It might be something very recent. It might be that you attended a recent conference
Mm-hmm.
and then that opened up your eyes
Right.
to certain opportunities. And you can talk about that conference. Oh, attending a conference is so year. When we talk about challenges was an eye opener to me. It broadened my horizon about A, B, C, and that led me to do this and that piqued my interest in this. Although I've been in this, but I never know that this opportunity existed
Yeah.
or there is this challenge. In a conference I attended last year, that
Right.
it must not always be that you've had a long history. No,
Exactly.
it might be as very, very recent. It may be through a project you embarked upon, and
Mm-hmm.
that showed you the gaps in
Yeah.
that field that needs to be addressed, maybe in your community or maybe in a field of research. So I always say, oh, all these Vics, I said it before, I've wanted to become, this and that, or the situation in my country was challenging, but
Mm-hmm.
you've not showed us examples. When you
Yeah.
say challenging, beautiful,
Right.
my exposure was invaluable, it was rewarding. How was it? What
Mm-hmm.
is the example? So
Yeah.
it's always very important that you will back up claims. If we say something, you put a claim there. And in some cases, your opening statement could also discuss about your family situation. Some people have real family situation. It could be death of a sibling, death of a this, maybe through a particular disease,
Yeah.
health, or maybe cancer, and that caused pain and anguish to you in the past. That's a real life story. But you don't want to delve deep into it and start telling us. Just tell oh my my encounter with this comes with a
Yes.
long battle with a protected cancer in my mom who lost her life due to this that led me to that, and that's a real life story.
Right.
And you don't want to make these things up. You want it because you will attend in the interview and then you'll be asked in some
Yeah.
situations in programs that have interviews with you. You don't want to
Exactly.
make up things. So
Yeah.
some people have unique situations and unique circumstances. It's not bad if you want to talk about it, if it is relevant to the program. In
Yeah.
fact, those stories make sense. If I read them, I
That's
connect with the person even before meeting the person in real time. Yeah.
right.
So, introduction, very, very important. This is an example. You can see this introduction. Oh, the
Mm-hmm.
continual emergence and spread of infectious strain. So, this is a challenge, for example, worldwide or maybe in a particular phase, the continual emergence of this and this
Yeah.
have caused major injury in food security through aquaculture. And then in 2017, during my 1 year internship, my encounter, blah, 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 with this, you gave us an opening statement, like you introduced us to a particular challenge, and then you continue with the content. I didn't just want to stress it, because of time and everything. The
Mm-hmm.
continuation just talks about the person's personal encounter with this exact challenge
Right.
and how that prompted them or that spurred them to, for example, this was an internship and that challenge spurred them to, for example, take up or do a bachelor's thesis in that particular area.
Yeah.
So that is a perfect way of, opening up your statement, for example.
Right.
And then the other one is talks about social science. Okay, in labor relations, but I learned more about labor management issue in one summer working in a union crew construction that I learned in the class. And then you
Yeah.
continue about the challenge. In a union construction, we were faced with so challenge, and that opened my eyes to labor relation, personal relations,
Exactly.
labor laws and this thing, and that was exactly what piqued my interest.
Right.
And that these are ways you could start up your statement of saying that ever since a child or this or that. Okay,
Right.
so it's very, very important that from the onset your statement hits the ground running so that the individual who is reading it will be able to want to read on and say, oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
interesting, let me read on.
So it has to be eye catching. In other
Yeah,
words.
that should be
Right.
eye catching, for example. That should be eye catching.
Yeah.
And so then after you talk about your introduction, your interest, and then you move swiftly into your experience, it could be academic experience, it could
Mm-hmm.
be your research experience. And you
Yeah.
want to do, if some people like to do it chronologically, some people like to do it have that leave they want, but they connect the story well. Some people like to go from, okay, from the university, their academic research experience, they transition to after completion, I then moved into work or research experience. So for example, when you
Right.
talk about your experience, you have it in your CV, so you want to talk about your labs, your research project, if you have titles or if you have project that you've worked on, this is the time to talk about it. If you
Right.
have subject or topics that you've learned in class that is related to the curriculum of the program you want to join, you want them to know,
Yeah.
okay, and academically I've exposed to this concept in this area, which is going to be relevant, saying the upcoming the curriculum of this exact program. You want to relate to them, know that yes, I have a background in this. I
Right.
want to talk about the project you've worked on and things like that.
Yeah.
If you have extracurricular, if you have some extracurricular, maybe leadership skills, especially in social science program where volunteering is very very important.
Right.
Volunteering plays a role, maybe in public health or in social justice. So you want
Exactly.
them to know, okay, these are the things I've done extracurricularly. These are
Yeah.
the stuffs like that.
Right.
How you handle those things? Then maybe if you are still a final year student, what are the things you will still be doing?
Yes.
Because for example, Erasmus allows final year students. So you want to say, okay, this is what I've done academic, this is internship, and don't go. In fact, in the coming months, I'll be working on this topic as my master thesis, to do this, to do that, and I'm certain that these are the skills and skill or a technical skill set that I'll be taking away from these programs.
Right.
Sorry, from these thesis, and that
Yeah.
will help me going forward, even as I intend to join, this master's program. So, and if
Right.
you've also through the project you've embarked upon, or through the conference, the work you've performed, if you've done a thesis, you've done a publication or a conference paper, this is the chance to introduce it. So I always tell people, when you talk about it, which has been published, you don't need to write the topic, or just put an hyperlink, for example.
Right.
You can use hyperlink in your Word document. Put an hyperlink so that anyone is reading your screen, they can click it and check, or they can also look at your CV if you want. So we
Right,
can
and
just,
this should also be added, especially on the CVs. But also,
yes,
one thing that I also want to clarify here, for instance, someone who just graduated and they say that, oh, I don't even have the experience. So what do I write on this
if you don't
part?
have experience, we've seen people who just finish fresh and who has not even graduated that won scholarships like Erasmus.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
internship is an experience.
that's it.
The
Exactly. That's
project in the lab, the group project is an experience. And the
yes.
thesis you just completed is a
It's
good
also an
experience.
experience. Exactly.
One
And
thing
even
people need,
well,
yeah,
yeah,
one people need to know is that in some cases, most of these programs, they are not looking, they understand that people have experience, and they are also, so they know that, they put that into context. They understand that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they are just looking for the potential in you based
yes,
on the opportunities that has been presented to you in your community. They understand the disparities.
yeah,
I mean, the way we are, I and Unduta, we're in the West here. We know how undergraduates are exposed early on
right,
to lab project. In fact, they plunge some undergraduate final year into labs where they do solid publications. But sometimes when we come from back home, you don't have that opportunity.
yeah,
In
that's
fact,
true.
some people, it's until they graduate before they have opportunity to say, "Oh, let's publish or let's do something." So the
Exactly.
programs understand that. So they understand your background, circumstances, and so
Yeah,
they kind of bring you up based on this, opportunity presented to you, and they gauge you based on that. And they also look at your potential to perform if they
exactly.
select you, and if you come to the West, and if you
Yeah.
are given the tools to work with.
Yeah. I mean, at least you would must have had some extracurricular activities within your 4 years of study. At least there
Exactly.
has to be something that happened in between your course. So this is the
Exactly.
experience that you have to put here. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, for example, this is an example. I said, as a summer research intern at University of Edinburgh, I investigated the source of LMN in
Mm.
collaboration with the doctoral students.
Yeah.
This should be we discovered. So this in collaboration shows that
Yeah.
you're also a team player as well. You didn't do
Exactly.
it alone. Because you're a summer intern, so you
Yeah.
want to be truthful that, okay, in collaboration with a doctoral student, we discovered that so.
Yeah.
In fact, it was that summer internship project that informed my decision to do an undergraduate thesis,
Yes.
on so topic, which earned me a distinction because I got that. They can see from your transcript.
Yeah, they
And
know.
as a result of that discovery, I am my super. We've now published it in the journal of. So you can put an hyperlink here
Right.
in the journal of aquaculture. So people they will click the link and they see the publication.
Exactly.
So this research project, along with my previous current work experience as a fish farm manager,
Yeah.
were those things that pick that continues to arouse my interest in food
Right.
security.
Yes.
And in fact, it was what reinforced my decision to pursue this PhD program or this master's program or this Erasmus program.
Right.
And this I'm doing in the quest to contribute to the fulfillment of sustainable development goals, especially a program in the introduction in the webpage. They've talked about, our program, the objective is to solve SDG goals. You
Right.
see that, so you kind of bring it into your essay so that they'll know that, okay,
Yeah.
our aims and objective, and you've been
Exactly.
able to relate it. So you are aware,
Yeah.
right? So it's very, very important. So this is a way you can talk about, your lab project. You talk about the experiences. You can even continue and say, in fact, what are some hands-on skills you've gained, some
Mhm.
research skills, or some tools you were able to use in the process, for
Yeah.
example. So you can talk about that, how you applied it into your project. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So another experience, maybe for example, this was social science. Okay, you say, as an undergraduate thesis student at this university in 2017, I conducted an analysis on the use of this and that in this poetry.
Right.
And in fact, that work that I did resulted in a conference presentation at this summit in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And if you won an award, let them know as well. So that
Exactly.
speaks to the quality
They
of your
want to
work.
see it. Yeah.
It
They
speaks to
want to
your
see the
quality of your
result.
work.
Yeah.
In fact, if you want to go forward, if you talk about that best oral presentation, you can give us a number, statistics, and
Mm-hmm.
say this attracted the best oral presentation out of 100 entries.
Yeah.
So you gave them that you stood out from
Yeah.
100 people, even though they did it in Nigeria, and they have
Mm-hmm.
you gave them a context. I
Yeah.
don't know. Is the Nigeria Poetry Association Summit.
Yes.
A summit that gathers, one of the best writers, in the country. Is a kind of summit that also, or summit that produce, one of the best writers, like the Nobel Prize holder in literature, Wole Soyinka, for example, who is a Nigerian.
Right.
If you
Exactly.
give them a context of the quality of people that have come out from this type of summit, they will know that, wow, okay,
It's
truly,
yeah.
it's a
It's a reputable
big,
award.
reputable
Yeah.
conference or summit, and then the award you won. So they value things like that. And that I always say statistics is also very important. I didn't
Absolutely.
include it here, but it's something you can also include as well.
Yeah. I mean, the experience is time to toot your horn, and as much as you don't want to be cocky, but you want to highlight the most important items that are very relevant to your application for sure. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Guys, if you're listening to us, please keep asking whatever the question that you have. I do have some questions already that were sent to me, but keep interacting with us on the comment section. We will definitely answer each and every one of them that you asked today. So as GJ goes on, so let's continue with the experience. Yes.
And so the next thing is to talk about the program.
Yeah.
So after talking about your experience, you now want to talk about, okay, the program, because some programs, okay, let us know, why are you a good fit for us?
Yeah.
Should we select you? Why do you even want to join this program? What
Mhm.
interests you about this program? So you need to talk about the program as well.
Right.
So for example, and this is an important question, they will say, what makes this program a good fit for your interest and your future career? So this is an ideal program. The
Mhm.
ideal Erasmus program offers mobility because you've done your research. You know
Yes.
that there is a mobility component in this Erasmus program, that you go to France, you go to Scotland. So it offers mobility to University of Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I didn't spell it properly. So which houses the world leading zoological and zoonotic facility, where I
Yeah.
can have access to this particular. That means you've gone to the website of Edinburgh, you've
Yeah.
checked the lab, you've seen the facilities they have, you
Right.
know the facility they use.
Yes.
you've identified, so that means you've done some digging.
Yes.
So in fact, the facility, maybe for example, they are the only one in the world that has that facility.
Mm-hmm.
So you've identified that, and you've told
Yes.
them, oh, I can use this facility in a potential master thesis topic in the area of this.
Right.
When I do that, the experience we have to build on the previous one when I'm coming from, whether I've done this or that in the past. And in
Yeah.
fact, it will even open you up to a doctoral. You are letting them know in advance that you're interested in a PhD project. So
Yeah.
you identified why the program is a good fit for you and how it will serve as a springboard to go into doctoral research or go into industry, for example. In
Absolutely.
some
Yeah.
cases, you can talk about the professors that interest you,
Yeah.
and then you can speak about the things you want to learn in the program as well. So, for example, in this situation, I should move this. Sorry, guys, I should move this up. So, I want to enroll at a program at XYYZ University because of its excellent
Yeah.
reputation in real estate. And in fact, I've not found such strength at any of the other MBA programs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In fact, you could see you are familiar with the work of this person and that person, and you are looking to work with these professors in the area of this. In
Right.
fact, if you go further, I think in my yeah, you could see this slide. I said, oh, I want to enroll at this SYYZ University because of its SRA resolution in business intelligence and valuation, as well
Yeah.
as the quality of its graduates who are now working and doing. Because you've done some research on the website and you've seen, where the alumni go.
Yeah.
Because a program, before setting up, they have an outcome. What are the projected outcome? Oh, we want to develop the next generation of business leaders, who will
Exactly.
take decisions in
Yeah.
public and private institutions. So you've checked their website and you've identified that.
Yeah.
So you can speak to that as well. And speak to
Right.
where you look, where you intend to what field or what area you intend to go to, and why that program is a fit for you because you've seen them do it in the past. They
Yes.
have a track record. So you speak to that and everything. So,
Right.
and you also talk about, okay, you've not, like, just like I said before, you've not found that strength in other programs, you know. In fact, you talked about a particular center, universities or programs they have in their facility, in their campus, they have center of this, center of that. You let them know that you've gone deep and you've got to check that they have a center of so. And
Right.
then you looking to work with professors here and there. So it's very,
Yeah.
very important. So don't just say, oh, is ranked as the best university in this. They
Mm-hmm.
got the work ranking,
Yes.
QS ranking as in number one. Please, what
Exactly.
are the key details? Tell us more. We know these things. Tell us more.
Yeah. And I think this is also the section where, especially for Erasmus, you tend to mention if you have a mobility path or you're going to different, universities. This is the perfect time to mention the reason why you're choosing one path over another path. Obviously, having done your due diligence study and see perhaps it's a professor that you resonate with their work, or it's a lab or it's a facility that you like in a certain university over another university. This is a perfect time to state this. Yeah.
In fact, you don't want to tell, oh, I want to join this university in France,
Yeah.
in Spain, because I want to watch, the football in
Yeah.
Camp Nou in Barcelona. Or I
Yeah.
want to visit Estadio Dragao in
Uh-huh.
Porto. So this is
Yeah.
not a chance. We know that Erasmus program, for example, comes with travel. They know you're going to travel. So
Absolutely.
this is not the point to talk about it.
Yeah. It's not time to meet Cristiano Ronaldo.
No. Talk about real stuffs right here. So the
Yeah.
academics. We know you can do a whole lot of things by the side. So yeah, it's very, very
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
And then I always say as well that especially Erasmus program, in some programs they'll ask you about, as a student, what are you bringing on board?
Yeah.
So you should know that when it comes to international students, they want to know how you're going
Very.
to adapt
Yeah.
and diversity you bring to their program
Hmm.
or to their university. So
Yeah.
that's why I always say you think about past experience that you've had.
Yes.
Have you done? Do you do things differently in your home university? Can you bring that
Right.
so you can sell those points to them? Also, as an international student, you should think about ways where you can add value to your classes. Your diversity,
Yes.
the way you think, your approach to learning,
Mhm.
and things like that. You can talk about it briefly.
Yes.
You know, the way you learn and how you're going to adapt into the educational system in that country. Some programs will ask you that they want to know.
Yeah.
And for Erasmus program, for example, they will ask you, are you even willing to learn languages? Are you
Exactly.
willing to adapt with peers? And how do you intend to relate with peers from diverse backgrounds? So
Yeah.
I always say a good example is, for example, we in Nigeria, we have over 300 tribes and tribes in Nigeria. Even
Yeah.
though we
Yeah.
speak a common language, you go from the north, south, east, west, you realize that you enter a state and things, the way they do things are a bit different.
Yeah.
And we have a national service we call it NYS in Nigeria, where if you come from one area of the country, you will be posted to the other side for a year to
Right.
work and to
Right.
integrate. So you can talk about that,
Yeah.
how you work in a different part of the country, diverse teams and things like that. So that
Exactly.
shows that even within your country, you are
Yeah.
living in a diverse community system and diverse community, and you've done that in the past,
Yeah.
and definitely you can do that as well when you join their program. Some programs want to know that as well, because programs are looking to increase their student diversity, and
Exactly.
they would want to know what you, as an international student from Africa, for example, can
Right.
bring on board.
Right.
And so after you talk about that, then your closing, I always say simple, straightforward, realistic,
Right.
straight to the point. If you want to, you can summarize those things you've talked about. I have the experience, the this and that,
Yeah.
and then you go to your conclusion. Simple, straightforward, realistic is very important. I've seen people say some unrealistic things.
Yes.
You can say this, in conclusion, my participation program will enhance my experience in this and help
Uh-huh.
me gain in-depth knowledge in this. And in fact, it will prepare me to do a PhD in plant pathology and become a future academic researcher, right?
Right.
Some
Yeah.
programs, they want master students, they want to produce master students that will go into PhD career. You
Mm-hmm.
need to know that from their website. If you know that, you can speak to that if a PhD is truly your interest.
Right.
That's some program that was the reason why they developed it. They want to create next generation of scientists, academics, researchers. That's the reason. If you know that and you are interested, please speak to it. They
Mm-hmm.
want people who are enthusiastic about doing a research. They don't know, so in some programs, they don't want people who will come in, finish, and just go away. No.
Yeah.
It might be that because of your interest in the PhD is what they will take you. In
Right.
fact, some people go further and say, in an Erasmus program, they will say, oh, I've identified that this Erasmus program has partners,
Yes.
university partners and industrial partners, where they do PhD projects in the framework of the European Horizon 2022
Yes.
Marie Curie program. This is a
Right.
type of PhD program I will look to join
Yes.
immediately after my master. So you're giving them a short-term goal.
Yeah.
So if you are even more specific, they love it. They'll
Yes.
say, "Oh, okay, this person have done their research." They
Yes.
know that when they know that some of our master thesis students, when they complete their master thesis, in fact, the master thesis they continue to PhD.
Right.
Is about doing your research, checking the website, speaking to people,
Yeah.
going to LinkedIn and seeing the trajectory of their past students. They finish this program, see where they went to.
Exactly.
So you know those things, and you have interest, and then you bring it. Although there are some programs also as well that do not have the PhD, that you don't need to speak. Maybe you want to work in the industry as well. It's allowed.
Yeah. It's fine.
You
That's
go
true.
and check trajectory of people who have done it and see where they went to.
Yeah.
And if you want to go into the industry, speak about it. For example, there are lots of programs like Erasmus who don't have the component where you need to go back home.
Yeah.
Erasmus doesn't mandate you. So if you want to work in the industry in Europe, do that. Is allowed.
That true.
Whether
And
it's
many.
you are, yeah,
Yeah.
whether you are here, you are listening to us, you want to go to the USA, speak to it as well. If you want to work in industry, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can't say the same for programs. No, no, no. For programs like Chevening, where you have to go back home, you still need to speak about what you want to go going forward.
True.
You
True.
still need to, but it might be in relation to your home country.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you still need to always speak about something in the short term, and
That's
then you
true.
speak about the long term, goal as well. What do you want to do in the long term? Do you want to finish your PhD and go into the full time academic career, or you want to finish your PhD and do industrial research?
Yeah.
where you be doing things on the shop floor, doing research on the shop floor, and
Yeah.
solving, critical problems in the society. Let them know your plans. They want it to be straightforward, realistic. Don't say, "Oh, I want to go back to my own country and turn around the electricity," because you spoke in the start onset that you have a challenge, and say, "When I go back, I'll be able
Yeah.
to stop the electric." It's not realistic.
It's
In a
realistic. That's
country like
true.
Nigeria, there are some forces and some power of darkness that are behind those things that is beyond, our
I'm just
human
saying it.
comprehension.
Yeah.
It takes willpower to be able to do that. It takes leadership. It's not by your master's program. No. Even if you are going to change something in your society, tell
Yeah.
us true. What agency?
Yeah.
What parastat? If you want to say, oh, you want to increase sensitization of, something. Maybe there is a polio prevalence. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's prevalent in your community, and you are learning this. You are learning something in scientific communication or something like that. How are
Right.
you going to take that experience back home? Through
Exactly.
what parastatal? Name the parastatal.
Yeah.
National Orientation Agency, where I'll be joining, and I'll be introducing some concept to them, how we can increase community engagement to
Yeah.
sensitize more people, and then we can pull people out of these challenges they are faced. It
Yeah.
has to be realistic,
Realistic. That's
because
true.
if you are presenting something like that to me, I can Google it and check the agency and
Yeah.
see what they do.
Exactly.
But don't just sell wide drinks for us and say, I see that a lot. Please, it doesn't work. Let's be realistic, please. We are not
That's
joking here. So it's very,
yeah.
very important. Simple, straightforward, realistic, and timely. Put short and long term. Some
Right.
programs say short, medium, long. You can do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's your structure. So just to recap, your
Yes.
introduction,
Right.
the body, where you talk
Yeah.
about your experience, and then
Yes.
the program as well.
Yes.
How the program is a good fit for you and all of that. And
Right.
then you close,
Yeah.
and you know and all of that. So let's look at some don'ts quickly. I'm about to round up. So some
Yeah.
things we should not do.
Yes. Absolutely.
We've talked about all the good part, the structure. So what are some of the things you should not do?
Yeah.
So I would say any experience that is not relevant to the program or the field you're applying to, please do away with it. If you are
Right.
not a good writer, if you are not a storyteller who can twist and turn things, if it's not
Yeah.
relevant, please just forget it. Don't give yourself problems. You are
Right.
limited by work count, so just do that. So any
Yeah.
experience that will put you in negative light, please avoid that. But if you
Mm-hmm.
can turn it into opportunities, please take so. For
Yes.
example, you have a poor grade. What was the circumstance? And how
Yeah.
do you turn things around? Maybe you started with a very poor grade, and then they can check for towards your transcript that things were going up, and then you were improving. That's a story to tell, and you give us the reason why you started poorly. So it's very, very important. Don't brag, and also don't be overly modest. Don't forget, they've not some programs will not have an interview with you. They would only work with what you've presented. And so if you don't talk well about yourself,
Yeah.
and that's why I say, but don't lie, don't pad up your SOP.
Yes.
Talk facts, present yourself, because for example, for my tribe in Nigeria, we are very, I always do that. Very, I don't talk more, but it doesn't work like that here in the West.
That's true.
I came here and I realized that no, you have to speak out.
Speak up. Say who you are. Let you
In the
know.
academic setting, in the professional setting, if you've
Yeah.
done something for the organization, don't let someone else take your shine.
True.
Speak about it. So in your SOP, speak about the good, wonderful things you've done.
Yeah.
Right? So, but don't brag. There
Mm-hmm.
are ways you can go about this.
True.
Avoid pity story. I
Yeah.
had only one pair of shoe. I trek 1,000 kilometers every day. Nobody cares. You are not the only one from a developing nation. There are developing countries in Asia as well. A
Yeah.
lot in Africa, a lot in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
So please, don't sell us that. And
Mm-hmm.
once again, don't lie or don't pad up your SOP.
Yeah.
And the autobiography intro, where you write about your life story, all those stuff. So avoid it.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't tailor your SOP to the essay prompt,
Right.
they ask you to answer this question, but you are going to this direction, you are
Mm-hmm.
set up for failure already.
Yeah.
Use of informal language, I've said that. Your
Right.
SOP doesn't have a structure.
Yeah.
Everything is modeled up together. There is no layout paragraph to say, oh, this is the introduction and this is what piqued your interest. Oh, this is your body. This is where you're talking about your experience. If you want to do it chronologically, is also nice as well.
Yeah.
If you want to, tell a story that brings you from the past to the current, what you are doing presently, and what
Yeah.
you want to do going forward.
Exactly.
There must be a structure.
Yeah.
The word count. I see people exceed word count. They will say, "Oh, it's too small." Please, they know what they are doing. When they say 500 word, they don't want story. Go to the most important things
Yeah.
related to the program. I see people, they are A4. They will try to expand it. They will change the margin.
Yeah.
They increase the margin. They want
Yeah.
to be overwise,
So, yeah. Yeah. I
right? They
feel
want to
that.
be overwise, so they increase the margin so
Yeah.
that we know all those things. They know when they see. So please don't do that.
But I think people think that sometimes that it's bots who are reading these statements of purpose.
No, it's not bots. It's people.
That's the other thing, because actually, this would be my follow-up question very shortly, because I had this question also asked, whether there are certain keywords that you have to follow. Is it like the way the way you write a cover letter for a job, and sometimes you have to really reverberate with the keywords that were mentioned on the job description or such kind of thing. So there was a question about use of keywords for statements of purpose. So I don't know what you can say about that actually. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. Keywords. The keyword you want to use, like we
Yeah.
said the other time.
Yeah.
Someone said something and he said it that all my actions and what I want to do going forward will help to fulfill the sustainable development goals number 2.
Right.
That can be a keyword because you check their website and you see their aims and objective, what they are aiming to achieve in that program through
Right.
everything they've set up. That's a keyword.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you bring that type of keyword into your SOP, it's nice.
Yes.
Okay. So, but
Exactly.
no, it's not. I won't say it's like cover letter where you put buzzword or
Yeah.
CV word. No, at least
Yeah.
they'll still give chance to. They'll still read through. But
Right.
everything we are saying should be relevant to the
Yeah.
program. If you
Exactly.
call that buzzword or keyword, I don't know, but it must be relevant.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So the other things, grammar error. Please use Grammarly. Please use Grammarly.
Mm-hmm. I cannot say this as
Um,
well. Yeah.
So when you talk about everything you do and you don't put evidence of your professional research leadership skills, you don't say I possess leadership skills in this. Please, where? How? What
Where?
context? How many people did you lead?
Yeah.
I possess volunteering skills where did you volunteer?
Where did you possess these skills?
Where do you possess these skills? How many people did you reach out to? What was the impact?
Yeah.
What were the results, the outcome? If
Yeah.
you went to the northeast of Nigeria and where there are some issues with people were displaced from their home,
Right.
and then you shared this and you did that with your organization, why did you do that? Why
Yeah.
did you volunteer? How
Mhm.
many people did you reach out?
Yeah.
What were the outcomes?
Exactly.
How did you monitor and follow up the impact of the things you did?
Yeah.
Very important. So that's why I say statistics is very important. If
Exactly.
you want an award relative to others, how many people were in contest?
Mm-hmm.
If you ranked, that's why some programs will ask you your class ranking. They will ask your doctor. But if they do not ask, if you say you finish with a 2-1, second class upper, what is your ranking in relative to your
Mm-hmm.
peers? To
True.
give them an idea, okay, we are in your class, you had 120
Yeah.
grad ones.
Right.
And then you ranked in the top 10%
Yeah.
of your class. So they gives an idea that okay, you did well in your so numbers very important.
Right.
Numbers very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's no future goals in the short term and long term. You state unrealistic things and conclusion is not strong. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Always have a strong closing statement that shows that you know what you are doing, you are futuristic.
Yeah.
So I guess that is all. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm going to give you a minute for you to take a cup of water or whatever you prefer, really. And we will get started with the questions right away. Guys, if you're listening to this, and of course you have some questions about statement of purpose, please let us know on the comment section. And of course, if you have any other questions that are for application, especially for Erasmus, please let us also know. And we will get started on those. I have quite a number already on my DMs, and I will get started with those. However, if you're listening to this and you're wondering about writing a statement of purpose, especially for Erasmus, you need to pretty much read first the instructions very clearly. Like, just go through the websites of the programs that you are interested in to get to understand the eligibility criteria, what type of person they are actually looking for, so that you can get started with your statement of purpose. Like Olajide mentioned before, you really need to think about exactly what you're going to write on that statement, because you're not just going to start writing out of the blues. You need to think about yourself as an individual. What experiences have you had? Which ones are relevant to a certain program? Perhaps the experiences that you might have had are quite diverse, and some of them might not be relevant to one program. They might be relevant to one program, but not to the other program. So you have to sift through each and every one of these programs that you might be interested in to see which one fits best. And I know that several people do several courses, several people do different jobs and they have different experiences. So this is quite important too. If it works for you, you can get a pen and paper, write down exactly who you are, the experiences that you have had, and list them down and see that this one fits for this program, this fits for the other program, and this fits for the other program. So make sure that what you are writing now obviously reverberates to what exactly has been requested of you from each and every program. Remember once again that each and every program, especially for Erasmus, also even for programs like Chevening, for OKP, and all these kind of programs, they always have a word count. And this word count is very crucial because, like Olajide also mentioned here, that if you exceed the word count of these statements of purpose, then this disqualifies you automatically. And like we said here, it's not a bot that is actually reading your statement of purpose. It's someone who is reading the statement of purpose. So be very careful with that. And also be very careful with statements of purpose that programs have given you some certain headlines that you need to actually reply to those headlines in specific. So if, for instance, a program will tell you, oh, we want to know what is your experience? Describe this in 200 words. So do not exceed those 200 words. Of course, stipulate the most important experiences that you've had. And like Jide said here also as well, that these experiences, even if you just graduated, these experiences could be from what you did within your program as an undergraduate, or perhaps any extracurricular activities that you were involved in during your undergraduate, or maybe you went for a volunteer experience, or maybe you decided to do a project, or it was your thesis that you wrote. These are things that you can stipulate as much as you just graduated, as long as, and I want to stress that fact, as long as they are within the eligibility criteria, whether this is for Erasmus, whether it's for Chevening, whether it's for, OKP, Orange Knowledge, whether you want to go to Germany, wherever you really want to go. This is something that you have to be very careful about. And also, if it doesn't also matter whether this is for masters, for PhD, for an undergraduate sometimes as well, this is something that you have to be very careful about. Eligibility criteria is your make or break for any type of program. And of course, the statement of purpose comes in very handy. It's a very core aspect of any scholarship, because all scholarships are very competitive. Very competitive, because they want to know, why should we pick you over someone else? And people are applying for these programs across the globe. So they have to sift through and see, not just because of your qualifications, not just because you got a first class honors, or maybe you got a second class upper division, and you expect that, hey, they will see your results and they will be all over your application. No, you really have to convince them that you are in fact the right candidate over so many other applicants that usually put up the application. So please feel free to reach out to us on the comment section. So I think we are gonna get started with the questions. I'll bring Olajide back if he's already taken his cup of tea or cup of coffee, or I know it's still very much in the morning, and I hope you're good to go now. Is it? Are you feeling
Yes,
much
yeah,
better?
yeah, I'm good to go. I just add the bottle of water.
Okay, good, good, good. So I think we'll just get started with the ones that we have right here, the comments we have here. So would you please share the records after the session? This session will definitely stay here on YouTube, so you can watch it much later. For Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Scholarship, would it be a problem if you are already a master's student? So I presume that this person is asking whether they can apply for Erasmus as a second master's. I mean, you can do that. I did that myself. This was my second master's, but Jide, maybe you can also say something about that.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, if the experience you've had in the previous masters is very valuable,
Yeah,
you've done a high level research relative to what you did in bachelor's, this is
yeah,
your opportunity to sell it to the selection committee. In fact, I think it was last year or this year that a PhD student, someone who has completed a PhD, is a lecturer, was selected for an Erasmus. So they
exactly.
did something unique in their SOP
Yeah.
to warrant their selection. So yeah, there's no problem. Only if you can sell your experience and tell them why you are coming to do that masters.
Absolutely, that's very true. I agree with you. So make sure that that's not going to be a problem. So you can shoot your shot on that. If this is the second time I am applying for a program, can I change my storyline in the SOP? I mean, of course, as much as it's, I guess if it's true,
If it's true, you can change. For example, between that time you
yeah,
applied and now, if
yeah,
things happened, new things happen, please, you can do that. You can change your story. No one will stop it.
yeah,
Once you've applied, that one has gone. That's in the past.
that's true.
But please tell realistic and true story. Even though you change the structure, there is no problem. But let it be true, please.
Yeah. That's very true. Let it be true, because if for some programs they ask you for an interview and then they ask you the same questions and then you're like, wishy-washy, I don't know what. So, that is going to disqualify you as well. So make sure that it is a real story, and don't plagiarize, guys. Come on. Like, I am so tired of I know, I'm sure you get this request a lot today. Like, oh, send me a statement of purpose example so that I can see how it was. You know how we are. In Kenya, we copy paste a lot. So I guess, I don't know whether you've received this, but I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
no. Okay, so the next question is, some programs mention the need for certain number of credits in some subjects or units like mathematics, chemistry, etc. How do I calculate my ECTs? Should I mention it in the SOP? Good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think you need to mention, oh, I have 10 ECTS in this program, I have this, I have that. It will be your transcript.
Yeah,
The only thing you can say is, oh, if they ask in those programs, maybe when you're talking about your academic experience,
yeah,
how well you performed, you can say, oh, you can speak to those topics.
yeah,
That course. So I've taken, course modules in the area of in mathematics, touching on differential equations, touching on, you know, um, linear algebra and things like that, which will
yeah,
be relevant, going forward if I join this program. You can
yeah,
talk, but you shouldn't be saying, oh, I have 15 ECTS in this,
yeah.
16 ECTS in that. No, 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 no. They will calculate that themselves from your SOP. And if you say, how do you calculate it? Well, there's a rough way we calculate it, but I don't know how valid that is today.
Me too. Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think,
how valid that still is today. If you go to Erasmus Mundus page on Facebook,
yeah,
if you search, if you use the search button on the page, just put ECTS.
yeah.
ECTS, you see a post where they did there was a rough calculation done,
Yeah,
but the program will still do the calculation. If you are not sure, please write a mail to them and say, oh, I've taken this credit, but I don't know how ECTS are being calculated. We use credit unit in my country. Please.
that's true.
How is it's an honest question.
Yeah,
It's a
but
genuine question, and I think they'll be able to answer you and say, okay, yes, this is how we calculate it.
absolutely.
Or you can attach your transcript and they will give you a response like, yeah, we think we think it's sufficient to, then you apply. Just
Yeah.
try and you apply. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, a rough way of actually calculating this would be like one ECT is equivalent to 30 hours of you studying that particular program, that particular subject, excuse me. So, for instance, if it's chemistry, within your 4 years of study, your undergraduate, you definitely might have maybe one semester you had like every week you have maybe 8 hours of chemistry. And then the following semester you have 8 hours of chemistry as well, a subject in chemistry. So these are ways which you could use to calculate your ECTs. Of course, if for instance you had 4 years, which means those are 16 semesters. If you are going by what you have in Kenya, those are 16 semesters, and each of those semesters you had like, say, an average of 20 hours per semester of chemistry, then that would be already 320 hours. So if you divide that by 30, then would be say 10 or 11 ECTs, I don't know, something of the sort. So that is a very, very rough calculation of how you can go about it. But I mean, ideally, if your background was in chemistry, you definitely would have reached the number of ECTs that they are requesting for. And again, they will definitely calculate for you. And if you have any question, please send an email to the consortium. I cannot even say this enough. Send an email and ask that question that you have. Thanks for this great insight about SOP. Can you please shed more light on mobility? Thanks. I don't know what exactly you mean by mobility, but perhaps it's maybe just the movement of from one country to the other for Erasmus, I guess. So
Yeah, I think that's what is
yeah,
the individual is referring to.
yeah,
There are programs that would ask you to justify your mobility track, because in Erasmus program you have to move from one university to another.
yeah,
But it's not always the same, for all programs. A
yeah,
program might have 4 universities in 4 different countries, and they will design it in such a way that some people will move from country one to country two to country four, some
yeah,
country one to country two to country three, some country one to country three to country four. So it's and they did it based on the specializations in those universities. So
right,
some of you might be in the field of chemistry, but some of you like organic chemistry, some like inorganic, some
yes,
like theoretical, some like computational. So what they are trying to tell you, in essence, is that why do you want to go to this university? So you want to speak to the specialization that university is offering. That's what they are trying to ask you in essence. It's not that they are trying to ask you that why do you want to go from France to Spain, or because of the football, or because of the food, or because of they have fine ladies in the country, and that's why I want to. No, no, that's not it.
yeah.
Justify why you want to move from country A to country C or country A to country D. That's the meaning of mobility.
That's very true. That's very, very true. So justify the mobility path. In other words, we should call it path, because all the programs will have some sort of mobility, but the learning path is different. And this is offered by just some programs. Not all programs actually have this. So, again, eligibility criteria, check that out always. How can I compensate if I do not have any achievement, volunteer, work experience, publications? How to make a strong SOP in that case?
We've said it before.
Yeah,
It's not necessary to publish because you
yeah,
want to apply for a master's program. If you
right,
have it, fine. If you have it, no, don't kill yourself.
yeah,
Your thesis is a research experience.
yeah,
The internship you've done is an experience.
yeah.
You have to work with what you have
That's
and
true.
you sell it as much as possible.
Hmm.
Programs in some cases, they look at your circumstances. First of all, they look at your educational experience. I mean, what level of education you've achieved. When
Hmm.
did you complete it?
Yeah,
For example, you completed a program as recent as 6 months ago. They know you just finished. They know.
Right. Yeah.
So they will not look you in the same light to someone who has, uh, finished several years ago and has been working in a research institute. Of
That's
course, they can give the person their own, due, they can give their own accord in
yeah.
terms of what they have, and they
Right.
also give your own accord in terms of where you are in
Right.
your educational and your
Exactly.
career level.
Yeah.
Okay, so they understand that. So whatever you have, sell it very well.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a fresh graduate or we've seen Erasmus people who are in their um penultimate semester and got the scholarship. Some of them have not even completed their master, your bachelor's thesis,
True.
but they have excellent grade.
Yeah.
They had a rich research experience. They
Yeah.
did some interesting lab project. They were president, coordinators in different associations in their university. They've
Right.
attended, hackathons, and they've attended, an event on behalf of their universities. They've sold themselves in really good light.
Yeah.
They've won award and prize even within the little short space they spent in the university.
Yeah.
So it shows you that they have potentials. There's excellence written all over them.
Yeah.
Looking from their CV, and if you can write it, translate that everything you have into a well-written SOP, you are
Exactly.
going to scale through.
Yeah.
In fact, they will, in some cases, they will select you compared to someone who already has masters but was not able to sell their self properly.
Yeah.
Something you should know. So it's not about it's about this the stage you are in your professional and academic career and how well you can sell it.
That's very, very true. Absolutely amazing point. So do not sell yourself short just because you feel that you don't have the experience, quote unquote, the experience, enough experience as compared to someone else. Really ensure that what you have, you can actually sell it. It doesn't matter, honestly. So, can we state that we have a master's degree already in our SOP?
I think we answered that already.
Yeah, that's true. I have OND in food technology. I believe this is a Nigerian OND in food technology, and used it for direct entry BSc in nutrition dietetics. Is it mandatory to upload the two transcripts from different schools?
Yeah, I would say it's mandatory because when they look at your BSc transcript, if it's a 4-year program, but because you came into 200 second year, so it will show for 3 years. So in some countries, they will say no, a 3-year program from an
Yeah,
African university is not equivalent to a bachelor's because
yeah,
of the length. But if you can
that's
back it up with the OND and let them they see the two transcript that you
yeah,
had a 2-year OND and then you
yeah,
came into, so that's 5 years in total. So they can merge it together and say, okay, yes, you had this sufficient, you satisfy the educational requirement for that program. So please, if you have both transcripts, upload.
absolutely. I would say that, and I would also want to mention something about HND. I think I mentioned this before in another different platform. If you have a HND and you want to apply for Erasmus, yes, you can, but you need to first ask the consortium or the coordinating institution whether they would accept it as sufficient for your program, for your master's program, because not all of them are actually accepted. So that you have to be very careful with this. Previously, we've had a student, actually, I think you can speak about this, someone who got into Erasmus master's with a HND, but I believe that the experience, they must have had some other transcripts as well to show, to back up, but maybe you can say something about it as well.
Yeah, yeah. There are students in the past who had only OND and HND,
Yeah,
both, and they scaled through.
right,
Their result was excellent.
yeah,
They had some experience as well, professional experience, and they sold themselves very well, and
right,
it worked. There are some people who had OND, HND, and they did postgraduate diploma,
yeah,
PGD. They
right,
merged everything together, and it was accepted as well. It's
right,
all about approaching the consortium and asking,
yeah,
oh, I have this. In some cases, some people even do worse evaluation.
right,
They just did it. They have the money to do it, and they just did it.
yeah,
And it showed from the worst evaluation that all the degree matched together is equivalent to a bachelor's, and it was accepted. So
that's true.
it can
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, but you cannot go blindly into just applying without asking. You really, really do have to ask, just so that you're not disappointed in the end. So I think this is a very common question with Nigerian students, prospective students. So I guess we hope that you would apply for it. Ige. So do we use Europe as CV for Erasmus Mundus? This is one of the so generic questions. I mean, I would want to say something about this, but I want to give you a chance to say it. Yeah,
I would always say,
yeah,
if the program does not specify anything,
yeah.
use the Europass automatically.
Right.
But there are some programs that will specify that, oh, we have a CV template on our website,
Yeah,
download it.
yeah.
If they've told you that, please use that CV template.
True.
Some program will tell you specifically, use the Europass CV, so you must use it. Some will just say, one, upload a CV.
Yeah.
So they're automatically telling you that you should go and use the Europass. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah, that's true. And guys, it's not that it is mandatory for those programs that I've not mentioned that they need a Europass CV format. It's not mandatory to have the Europass CV format, but it is something that is recommended. It's recommended for you to have it in Europass format, just because you're applying for schools in Europe. So that's the format that they usually recognize most. So thank you. As a fresh graduate, I was feeling very overwhelmed. You both have motivated me a lot with your great insights. Thank you so much for staying. Is it proper to mention in my SOP that I run a part-time program while working with experience? These questions, I like them. So I don't know. Can someone mention a part-time program, Jide? Do you think?
Um, I mean, I don't think you need to be in your SOP start saying no. Why?
Yeah,
Spelling out those details. Taking space in your SOP and start saying, "Oh, while I was working, part time." No.
yeah,
In your CV, of course, in your CV,
yeah,
you will say the program, and maybe if it is part time, maybe you want to specify in your CV.
yeah,
Take away the attention from that. Focus on the your academic experience in that program,
yeah,
your learning outcomes, your grades, how well you performed,
yeah,
what are the projects you did in school.
yeah.
Also, your work experience. Talk about the positives as well.
That's true.
Don't start telling us, "Oh, I was working a part time, so I was doing." They don't need all that.
All that.
Okay,
Yeah,
sell the. You have limited space. Sell. If
yeah,
they want clarification, if they like what you've presented, but
yeah,
they are not clear during this interview,
yeah.
if there's an interview, they might ask you that, "Oh, but you've done well, we like your CV, but we noticed that there was a work experience. So what? Oh, then you say, oh, it was a part time. So you want to put your best foot forward, attract them, let them even call you for interview first
That's true.
before you now start saying stuff. But if they've not asked you anything, you don't need to
Yeah,
spill anything. Just mute.
yeah,
But
true.
I'm not saying you should lie. It will be in
Yeah,
your CV that you were working and you
yeah,
were in the West here. People study
mhm,
full time or even part time, and they also work.
yeah,
They work in restaurants, they work in bars, they work in coffee shops. It's okay. In
yeah.
fact, some employers here in the West, they see it as a test of resilience,
That's true.
that you're able to combine work and part-time to study, to work, and also to help yourself.
Yeah,
So it's not, but you don't need to start, taking space in your CV and start telling us all those stories. No,
yeah,
just sell the positives from your academic program and also
absolutely.
your work experience. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I think.
that's very true. So I think we've answered quite a number of questions that also resonate to what I got. But one of the questions that I got was, can you give advice for writing a statement of purpose for Chivning? I know, but usually the Chivning has lots of, you have to write lots of letters, I believe. I think
Maybe
three.
I think 3 or 4 letters where you talked about networking, your volunteering, and all of that.
Yeah,
Like I always say in Chieftain, when it comes to Chieftain, you must be a tested leader. Sorry,
yeah,
a potential or tested leader.
yeah,
And so for Chieftain, what they want is evidence,
Right.
numbers,
Yeah.
impact,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
outcome, and ability to translate all those little things you've done
Hmm.
to a bigger stage.
Yeah.
That's why even people that do not have the best academic experience, but they were vibrant leaders, in university,
Hmm.
then to the society, they are the good fit for chevening.
Right.
I've told you the very important stuffs in chevening: leadership,
Mhm.
community, volunteering,
Yeah.
social engagement. Those are the tips for chevening.
Yeah.
If you can't give us numbers, if you can't give us impact, because they also ask also as well in the interview,
That's true.
right? So those are the key for me for chevening. Those are the key. Chevening is not even about say, oh, I had if you have good grades, fine, but
Yeah.
not I have a first class, I beat other students. They don't care. They
It's not
don't
going
care
to work
about
for
them.
shipping. No. Yeah.
You want to be hearing things like sustainable development
Hmm.
goals,
Yeah.
human development, social engagement,
Yeah.
social justice, law and economy,
Hmm.
using artificial intelligence in criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Those are things they want to see in chevening. So chevening is not like your regular SOP. It is way more. But I have mentioned some really important stuff when it comes to chevening.
Yeah. I mean, I attest to the same fact because it's a leadership more, you have to show how much of a leader you are, what you've been doing, etc. So, and it takes a long time actually to come up with the three S's to write them very well and have someone also read them out. So, it's very important for you to take time. I have no much of experience with chevening essays, but I know that I have a couple of people who've done it before. Yes, it can be done, but you need quite a lot of time to actually synthesize what exactly you want to write on that statement, and like Jide said here, ensure that you have facts and put them on paper. Then the last question actually that I got here was, can I use the same statement of purpose for different programs? I mean, I mean, I mean,
See, you can have a skeleton.
yeah,
You can have a skeleton SOP,
yeah,
but when it comes to different programs, you say you have the skeleton because the skeleton is your body frame.
yeah,
It will not change based on because this is who you are, this is what you've done, this is your personal story, your circumstance. That
right,
will not change,
yeah,
but you have to tweak it when you're
mm-hmm.
applying to program A and program B. In fact, in
Yeah,
some places you have to erase the entire paragraph,
mm-hmm.
maybe
That's
your
true.
introduction paragraph, and bring in another paragraph, but your academic experience and your work experience may not change. It may change in the sense of when you're talking about the modules you've taken in school, because
Yeah,
you're applying to the you might speak to that, and the work experience that is relevant, you can speak to that.
yeah,
But your introduction might change, but the skeleton, the framework will still there, and your future goals as well will still somewhat be there. Okay,
yeah. That's
so
true.
please don't use a generic SOP for everything. Yes.
Yeah, I think we're so used to copy pasting. Like in Kenya, we just don't want to be so tired. So we're like, okay, I think I wrote a statement some time ago, so I'm just gonna take that, paste it, and then hope for the best, which never works always. So, and the thing about Erasmus, especially, is not like if you know someone who knows someone who knows some. I don't know about Nigeria, but in Kenya, it's like if you know someone who can get you into something, then you would be best friends with this person, and they perhaps might hear you out loud, might maybe get you the job or whatever it is. So this is very different for any scholarship, guys. So be very authentic and take your time to write these statements. Now, I just want to finish this conversation, and I know that you love Erasmus a lot. But what is one of the things or the pitfalls that you have seen with African students? Obviously, writing statements of purpose, like. What is one thing that you've seen that people keep on doing over and over? We've talked about, things to do with the introductory statements being off, being very generic, or maybe putting in poverty porn on the statements of purpose, like, oh my God, we are so poor, that's why I need this scholarship and all these kind of things. But what is one other thing that you've seen that guys really need to stop doing, especially from an African perspective, and coming to the West and our mindsets as well? So perhaps maybe you can speak something about this.
Yeah, good. Thank you for that question. I mean, if there's something that comes to mind as African students is selling themselves short.
Right.
That's one thing I see.
Yeah.
They sell themselves so short.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand that this is an international stage
Yeah.
and you are competing with the best of the best.
Right.
If you know that you've done very well in your society, irrespective of where you come from,
Yeah.
you need to sell yourself very well
Right.
so that you can compete out there.
Yeah.
There is limited space. There is limit. In fact, you are not competing with only you are competing with people from your country. So
Right.
you need to sell yourself very well
Yeah.
in the right light.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one. And another thing is the way we write as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Okay.
The way we express it, we write as if we are, the way we are talking.
Speaking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Too many words.
too
Yeah.
many words, run on sentences.
Yeah.
You know, you keep up reading, and it just keeps on going.
Yeah.
The punctuation mark is off. Everything is off. No,
Right.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
So please, very, very important.
Yeah.
Don't sell yourself short. And your writing tone is very, very. That's why it's mentioned in the tone
Yeah.
is very, very important.
Right.
So this one popular things I see, and then students from Africa need to to do things better here.
Yeah. And I think it's about using the resources that you have, using the tools that are available to you. Things like Grammarly, as simple as Grammarly, would really go a long way, towards your statement of purpose and even your CV, your general application, honestly, and anything that you're writing actually should. You can use various tools online that are very, very useful for you, and even the resources that are available on social media, especially Jide always has lots of information. I also tend to send a few, pointers here and there. So, I mean, the resources are there for you. So please utilize them as well as possible. Now, one final fun question, Jude. I know you have been to Europe, you are now in Canada, you've seen it all, coming from Nigeria to here. So, what is one of the most toughest, or let's say, one culture shock that always resonates with you to date? You've never come to terms with it? I know they're
Uh,
quite.
yes, good question.
Yeah.
It's if there's one thing that baffles me till date is
Yeah.
the relationship between student and professors.
Great.
The relationship,
Okay.
it's a big cultural shock for me in the sense that so
Yeah.
basically you relate as colleagues,
Right.
but back home you relate as lord and subjects.
Yeah.
So in Europe, the way I call my professors, people who are 3 times older than me,
Right.
the way I call them name
Yeah.
and it sits well with them remains a big shock to me.
Yeah.
That's something I cannot
Wow.
do back home. So
Wow.
you call your professors directly with name.
Yeah.
So if you start calling professor, they don't. It's not
No.
comfortable for
Yeah.
them. They will tell you we are colleagues. In fact, we are graduating very soon, so you are going to join us on this side. So we are
Yeah.
colleagues. So please feel free. So
Right.
that will continue to remain a big shock to me,
Right.
in terms of
Right.
how
Right.
things
Right.
are done in the West.
Oh wow, interesting to know, because I thought maybe it would have been food or maybe the weather. I know.
No, not even. Of course, the food and the world, but I'm talking in the context of
Education.
it's
That's
the
true.
educational system.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that will always remain a bit. Of course, the food will always shock you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you will always have different thing and the culture, of course, but within the academic settings, that
Yeah.
will always remain. In fact, as an Africans, it might not even sit well with you. It will
Yeah.
take you time to adjust. You will make mistakes and they will correct you several times. And no, just all
Yeah.
right.
Take your
So
time.
yeah, take
That's
your time. It's not problem. Just call me this. It's okay.
that's
And
very true.
so yeah.
I think for myself, in the institution setting, was the fact that the professors were too available. In Kenya, before you find your professor to check your thesis, you are going to wait forever. You will send enough emails before they can even get back to you. But over here, they're quite available, very, very available. And it was a bit shocking to me. And to date, I'm like, okay. I mean, they take their job very, it doesn't matter whether it's a public university or a private university, the lecturer is going to be available for you and they will reply to you, which is
Exactly.
something, I never get used to. When I go to Kenya and I'm like, okay, here we go. But guys, this is something that you will definitely experience. And we hope that, these sessions would help you to guide you and give you some pointers towards doing that application, finishing that application, especially for Erasmus. Between now and January, February, March, there, please make sure that you're completing your application on time, and you're listening to this in the right month. It's October, going to November. Some programs might be closing in December already, so you at least have some bit of time to gather your thoughts, write a statement of purpose that is good enough. Your CVs, your general application. Really, please reach out to us. Reach out to Jide. Please follow him on Twitter. He's at Jamaticulous on Twitter. You can follow me as well. You can follow the Erasmus pages for Nigeria or Kenya, whichever resonates with you. Really, we offer the same information. Honestly speaking, please make sure that you can get all the resources towards your own, good. So, I don't know whether you have any other final closing remarks, but I want to end it at that.
Okay, for me, I'll just say,
Yeah.
Plan ahead of time. Take your time to write your SOPs well. The SOP is always the game changer for you, right? So it's always very important that you write it very, very well.
Right.
If your SOP is strong, on one hand,
Yeah.
it can, make up for a whole lot of different things in your applications, that you
That's
can never ever imagine. Your
yeah.
story can resonate in the heart of the selection committee, and that is what is going to get your foot, across the door. So please take your SOP seriously and
Yeah.
reach out to people around you,
Yeah.
for reviews and everything. If
That's
your SOP is excellent, trust me, you are well on your way to Europe or anywhere across the world. Yeah, thank you.
That's very true. Thank you so much, Olajide, for taking your time. Honestly, very early morning in Canada, and taking your time to be with us here. Prudence,
Thank
if
you
you have
very
a
much.
final question, you're welcome. Prudence, if you have a final question, send it on the comments. We'll see it, and maybe we'll answer it right there. So, guys, this is all the time that I had for today. We had for today, rather, and I do hope that you continue to interact with this channel on the comment section, whichever of the social media handles that you prefer. That's all up to you. You do you, and we wish you all the very best as you apply for your scholarship, whichever it is, whether it's Erasmus, Tripling, OKP, all these. There's so many. So yeah, all the best, guys, and have a good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Really. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye, guys.